reality and power of love in the light of the Bible. Good morning, dear friends. Today we gather to reflect on one of the most profound and transformative forces in the universe: love. Love is not just an emotion. It is the very essence of who God is and the foundation of our existence. The Bible, as the Word of God, provides us with a deep understanding of love, its reality, its power, and its purpose in our lives. Let us explore this divine truth together and discover how love can shape our hearts, relationships, and world. Number 1. Love is the nature of God. The Bible teaches us that God is love. 1 John 4:8. This means that love is not just something God does. It is who He is. His love is unconditional, unchanging, and eternal. In John 3:16, we see the ultimate expression of this love. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. God's love is sacrificial, selfless, and life. It is the foundation of our faith and the source of our hope. The Bible teaches that God is love. 1 John 4:8, revealing that love is not merely an aspect of God's character, but His very essence. Unlike human love, which can be conditional and fleeting, God's love is unconditional, unchanging, and eternal. This divine love is demonstrated most profoundly in John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life. This verse encapsulates the depth of God's love. A love so great that He was willing to sacrifice His Son for the salvation of humanity. It is a selfless, sacrificial love that seeks the good of others, even at great cost. One of the most powerful examples of this love in action is seen in the parable of the prodigal son. Luke 15:11-32. In this story, a rebellious son demands his inheritance, wastes it in reckless living, and eventually finds himself in misery. When he decides to return home, expecting rejection, his father instead runs to him, embraces him, and restores him fully as a son. This parable reflects God's love, merciful, forgiving, and always ready to welcome back those who turn to Him. God's love is the foundation of our faith and the source of our hope. It is not based on our worthiness, but on His unchanging nature. His love reaches out to the lost, lifts the broken, and transforms lives. Whether in moments of failure or triumph, His love remains constant, calling us into a relationship with Him. Recognizing and embracing this love enables us to live with peace, purpose, and a heart that reflects His divine nature. Number 2. Love is the greatest commandment. When Jesus was asked about the greatest commandment, He replied, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22, verses 37, 39. Love is not optional. It is a divine command. It calls us to love God wholeheartedly and to extend that love to others. This is the essence of a Christ-centered life. When Jesus was asked about the greatest commandment, he responded with a profound truth that defines the essence of a Christ-centered life. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22, 37 through 39. These words reveal that love is not merely a suggestion, but a divine command that shapes our relationship with God and others. Loving God means placing Him above all else, seeking Him with sincerity, and obeying His will. This love is not passive. It requires devotion, trust, and a heart fully committed to Him. Yet, love for God cannot be separated from love for others. Jesus emphasized that just as we are to love God with our whole being, we must also extend love to our neighbors. True love is selfless, compassionate, and active. It seeks the good of others, forgives offenses, and reflects the love we have received from God. A powerful example of this love in action is the parable of the Good Samaritan, Luke 10:25 through 37. When a man was beaten and left for dead, religious leaders passed by without helping, but a Samaritan, someone considered an outsider, stopped, cared for his wounds, and ensured his recovery. Jesus used this story to illustrate that loving our neighbor transcends social, religious, or personal boundaries. Love is not just about words or emotions. It is demonstrated through actions. By living out this commandment, we reflect God's love to the world. When we love God fully and love others selflessly, we fulfill His greatest desire for us, to be vessels of His love, bringing healing, unity, and grace wherever we go. Number 3. Love is practical and actionable. The Bible emphasizes that love is not just a feeling, but an action. In John 3:18, we are reminded, "Let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth." True love is seen in our kindness, patience, forgiveness, and willingness to serve others. It is a love that bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. 1 Corinthians 13:7. This is the kind of love that transforms lives and communities. The Bible teaches that love is more than words or emotions. It is action. In John 3:18, we are instructed, "Let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth." True love is demonstrated through kindness, patience, forgiveness, and service to others. It is a love that endures hardship, believes in the best, and never gives up. Love is not just about what we say, but about how we live and treat others. Genuine love requires effort and sacrifice. It means helping those in need, forgiving those who wrong us, and showing compassion even when it is difficult. Jesus exemplified this kind of love throughout his ministry. He healed the sick, fed the hungry, comforted the brokenhearted, and extended grace to sinners. His love was practical and life-changing. One of the most powerful examples of love in action is when Jesus washed the feet of his disciples. John 13:03-17. In those days, washing feet was the task of a servant. Yet Jesus, the Son of God, humbled himself and performed this act of service. He told his disciples, "I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you." This moment was a lesson in humility, selflessness, and practical love. Jesus showed that love is not about seeking status or recognition, but about serving others with a willing heart. When we practice love in action, by helping, forgiving, and uplifting others, we reflect God's love and transform lives. Love that is lived out has the power to heal wounds, restore relationships, and bring light into the darkest places. It is through our actions that the world sees the true nature of God's love. Easy pacing. Number 4. Love overcomes evil. One of the most powerful teachings about love is its ability to overcome evil. Romans 12:21 says, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." Love has the power to break down walls of hatred, heal wounds of injustice, and bring reconciliation. Jesus demonstrated this on the cross when he prayed for his enemies, saying, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do." Luke 23:34. Love is the ultimate weapon against darkness. Love possesses a transformative power that can overcome even the greatest evil. Romans 12:21 teaches, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." This principle challenges us to respond to hatred, injustice, and wrongdoing not with revenge or bitterness, but with goodness and love. While human nature often seeks retaliation, God calls us to a higher standard, one that reflects his divine love. Jesus demonstrated this power in its purest form. As he hung on the cross, enduring pain and mockery, he did not curse his enemies or seek justice for himself. Instead, he prayed, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do." Luke 23:34. This act of love in the face of extreme cruelty revealed that true love does not depend on the actions of others. It flows from a heart aligned with God, bringing healing and redemption even in moments of deep suffering. A remarkable example of love overcoming evil is seen in the conversion of Saul, later known as Paul, Acts 9:19. Saul was a fierce persecutor of Christians, imprisoning and harming believers. Yet, instead of condemning him, Jesus appeared to him in a vision and transformed his life. Rather than destroying his enemy, Christ's love turned Saul into one of the greatest apostles, spreading the very message he once sought to destroy. Love has the power to change hearts, mend divisions, and defeat darkness. When we choose love over hate, kindness over cruelty, and forgiveness over resentment, we become instruments of God's grace. Love does not ignore evil, but it conquers it by replacing it with something greater. In a world filled with conflict, love remains the strongest force for true and lasting change. Number 5. Love is eternal. The Bible assures us that love never fails, 1 Corinthians 13:8. While prophecies, tongues, and knowledge will pass away, love will remain. It is the eternal bond that unites us with God and with one another. In heaven, we will experience the fullness of God's love, but even now, we are called to reflect that love in our daily lives. As 1 Corinthians 16:14 says, "Let all that you do be done with love." Love is the one eternal force that will never fade. 1 Corinthians 13:8 declares, "Love never fails. Prophecies, knowledge, and even languages, which will one day cease, love will endure forever." Love is the essence of God, and because God is eternal, so is love. It is the divine bond that connects us to Him and to one another, remaining unshaken beyond time and circumstance. In heaven, we will experience the fullness of God's love, free from the limitations of this world. Yet even now, we are called to reflect His love in all we do. 1 Corinthians 16:14 instructs, "Let all that you do be done with love." This means that love should guide our words, actions, and relationships. It is not just a temporary emotion, but the foundation of a life rooted in God's truth. A beautiful example of the eternal nature of love is seen in Jesus' conversation with Peter after the resurrection, John 21:15-17. Despite Peter's earlier denial of Jesus, Christ did not reject him. Instead, He asked Peter 3 times, "Do you love me?" With each response, Jesus reaffirmed Peter's calling, instructing him to care for his people. This moment was not about Peter's past failures, but about the enduring power of love to restore and renew. Love is greater than mistakes, stronger than trials, and everlasting beyond death. It is the one thing that truly matters, both now and in eternity. Dear friends, the reality and power of love as revealed in the Bible is a call to action. It challenges us to love God with all our hearts, to love our neighbors as ourselves, and to let love guide every aspect of our lives. Love is not always easy, but it is always worth it. It is the greatest force in the universe, and it has the power to change the world, one heart at a time. Let us leave here today with a renewed commitment to live out this divine love. May we be vessels of God's love, shining His light in a world that desperately needs it. As it says in John 4:19, we love because He first loved us. Let us go forth and love boldly, for love is the very essence of who we are called to be. Thank you, and may God bless you abundantly as you walk in His love. References: 1 John 4:8, John 3:16, Matthew 22:37-39, 1 John 3:18, 1 Corinthians 13:7, Romans 12:21, Luke 23:34, 1 Corinthians 13:8, 1 Corinthians 16:14, 1 John 4:19. This speech combines biblical teachings, practical application, and a heartfelt call to action, making it both inspiring and impactful.